Welcome. In this edition, we would focus on Down to Earth, 1st to 15th of July, the summary for it. Now, the first thing that we would talk about is one of the families from the regions of Panna in Madhya Pradesh. Now, this region in Panna is known for diamond mining, and as a result, the agriculture has been left with limited space. People are suffering from diseases like silicosis, tuberculosis, and premature death. And families, specifically women of these areas, have come together to focus on agriculture, and as a result, mushroom cultivation is started. Now, mushroom is a rich diet with protein, so the malnutrition aspect with protein was definitely removed. However, anemia was another big issue that people are being tackling here. Again, the region has been seeing growing of nearly 15 to 20 mushroom bags every 21 days, and the one household nearly produces 90 kg of mushroom. 30 kg is kept with the family and the remaining is sold into the market, which boosts their sales and their livelihood. The next is hunger emergency around the world. World is facing with a great humanitarian crisis with nearly 13 nations facing worsening hunger situations and 5 of them on a full scale verge of famine. Now, the World Health Program and the Food and Agriculture Organization have focused on nations which are on a crisis situation, and these include Sudan, Gaza, South Sudan, Haiti, and Mali. In Sudan, nearly 24 million people are facing food shortage, with over 6 lakh people close to famine situations. In Gaza, nearly 2.1 million people. The ongoing conflicts in the regions of South Sudan has affected nearly 7.7 million people. Haiti and Mali are again because of unstable conditions, violence, and political unrest. Now, if you look onto the hot spots here, we can see the regions of Mali, regions of Sudan, South Sudan, which are the worst affected, and then again concerning areas include Somalia, Myanmar, Yemen, Syria, Palestine, Chad, Mali. Then you have South Sudan as another important area. In the regions of Africa itself, Democratic Republic of Congo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and in the Caribbean areas, Haiti is one of the areas which are facing extreme hunger situations. Now, there has been another important guideline on expired medicines. So, India's Central Drug Control Standard Organization has set a guidelines for states and union territories for proper disposal of unused and expired medicines, and these includes 3 important eco-friendly methods: encapsulation, inserization, and incineration. Incineration is simply burning. Now, there has been a flush list which has been included, which has opioids and talks about recommending flushing in case of accidental poisoning. Also, these expired medicines are a high risk to environment, soil, water, and can create antimicrobial resistance. Uttarakhand is one of the major producers. Himachal Pradesh, Baddi district in Solan is another major producer, and these have been the areas where the strict protocol implementations have taken into existence. Then there has been in Kerala a project known as NPR ROD, which is actually safe collection and disposal of medicines from household itself. This initiative has been carried out by sanitization and waste management workers under the Harit Karma Sena program. The next is open source AI. Now, China is reshaping the global AI with bringing in advanced open source models created by Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, and DeepSeek. Now, there are AI agents even being created. We have discussed about AI agents in a separate lecture. The major focus here that we would understand is to see that there are strategic initiatives which are designed to bypass the US export control of high-end chips and accelerate domestic AI. Also, DeepSeek, which was established in 2023, is become one of the vital players, offering performance at par with OpenAI GPT 4.0, and Baidu has been focusing on closed source models. Irony 4.5 is another model which is about to come. Similarly, Alibaba has released the Qwen series. Tencent has released the Hunyans models. Both of them are open source licensed models. So 12 out of the 15 open source AI models have originated from China, and China has become the hub for AI. The next is wildlife. There are increasing cases of human beings being killed by wildlife, specifically consumed by tigers in many cases. We have seen the case in the Chandarpur areas in Maharashtra, where a woman has been affected by tiger early morning hours. Similarly, there have been another accident which has been seen in the Kathanpet village, where the person was taking the goats back from the forest area, but he returned to fail. There were human deaths which have been witnessed by tiger in Chandarpur district. Chandarpur is not just one affected. In Uttar Pradesh, there have been reported cases in Pilibhit tiger areas. In Uttarakhand, Jim Corbett and Rajaji National Park, where we have seen 9 fatalities so far. In Ranthambore in Rajasthan, 3 tiger attacks have been seen, of which 2 were on the forest ranges itself, and 1 attack was seen in Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So across India, we have seen nearly 43 people being killed in the last 6 months and 44 deaths which were being recorded, which has been the highest ever since. Now, what has been very important is to identify the tiger. Now, there have been cases where tigers partially consume their victims, and the official records do not track the instance of tiger eating man. Now, once that has to be identified, they have to be hunted, and it is very important to isolate them at the very important way, right? So the next one is the biologist as Kyonjor has been talking about the situation where natural prey base in the tiger's habitat has been reducing, and this is one of the causes that is increasing the tigers to start consuming human beings and increasing attacks on human beings. Now, if we talk about the forest officers in the Pilibhit area, we have recently seen 5 incidents where human encroachment have been seen near the tiger territory. Again, this has been cited as one of the reasons. The attacks have involved 3 to 4 tigers which have happened within 100 to 400 meters of the forest edge, and the conservation efforts have been ongoing. A single tiger typically kills around 50 wild animals every year to meet its diet requirement. So for a sustainable population, a tiger must have nearly 500 prey in the region. If those preys are not available, there is an increasing tendency that tigers would start to affect the human life. There has been altered behavior that has been seen. Now, also there have been poor health of the tigers. The cubs were live fed, and that was another major risk that was being seen. So increasing the interaction of human and tiger, habitat sharing, encroachment have been some of the areas which have been affecting the livelihood of the people in and around. Now, this has led to a dangerous trend. We have already seen those in the text. Now, here is the graphic for the same, how the people have been affected and the total number of tigers which are present in each of the reserve areas, and the number of attacks that have been seen. The highest has been seen in the regions of Chandarpur in Maharashtra, in the Tadoba Andheri Tiger Reserve area. So the tigers are seen in those areas, and in the last 10 years we have seen surpassing number of deaths because of tiger effects on human life. There has been another important aspect of Sustainable Development Goal 14, and the UN conference has been talking about the least financial support globally, and discussing on the funding for the coastal areas. Now, Ennore, which is one of the coastal areas of Chennai, has seen a significant decline in ecology in mangroves and the wetlands, which has reduced by nearly 70%. The third UN Ocean Conference, which was held in France, talked about this goal to protect the marine ecosystem. There has been a pledge of funding from nearly 1 billion to 10 billion, which has been brought with One Ocean Finance Facility launching in 2028, where private sector solutions could bridge the gap. Also, Parametric Insurance, Global Fund for Coral Reef are some of the efforts that have been done. So, if we look onto the overall picture, there has been an increasing assistance that has been an important call. The next is the Central Pollution Control Board has talked about illegal mining activities in the regions of Dehradun near the Ganga River, and this has been after the inspection that was done extensively in the area after the petition which was laid down by Maitri Sadan in 2022, and the photographs of the unregulated mining, mechanized mining has been seen in Raiwala and Bhogpur, and then on this was the case where illegal mining activities were identified and violation was taken into consideration with strict action under the National Mission for Clean Ganga. Also, mining pits have been seen at Chandarpur, Bisanpur, Rani Majra, where unauthorized extraction in the floodplain areas have been witnessed, and this has been taken into consideration. So this area has been defined as a sensitive zone. The order in which the developments have occurred since 2022 to 2025 have been mentioned. Those would be available in the handouts. You can check those. The next is the world is facing a global financial meltdown, and one very important example is Nauru Island, which is known for the highest obesity as well. And this is one of the Pacific islands, just 21 kilometers square kilometers in area, and to fund the climate action, it is offering citizenship for $1 lakh under the Golden Passport scheme. Now, through its greenhouse gas emissions are negligible, this Nauru is seeing a significant increase in sea rise, storm surges, coastal erosion, and to protect the region, there is an immediate need to bring in funding. So offering citizenship is one such ways through which they are trying to have ways to fund their climate change mitigation programs. Trade and Development Report has talked about a global public debt which would hit nearly $97 trillion, with an average global income rising by 22% globally in one decade. The debt per person has increased by 61%, which is again one of the highest ever since. Among the developing countries outside China, there is estimated $488 per capita annually for climate action through 2030, which has been taken into consideration. Now, US has withdrawn from Paris Agreement, and the outcomes have been disappointing at the COP29 at Baku. We are also focusing on the next international conference in July beginning, which was in Spain, and this focused on debt crisis, specifically focusing on global financial system and how the countries like Dominican Republic, Hatai have been facing the worst economic losses because of climate disasters, and a huge amount of money going in rehabilitating those climate disasters and issues. The next is sovereign debt. Now, developing countries are facing a growing debt, as we said, and sovereign debt is defined by IMF as the funds which are being borrowed by government for facing any economic challenge or investing in public infrastructure. Now, the developing nations and specifically the small island developing countries are the ones which are worst affected because of the climate change, because of the frequent disasters, and their sovereign or public debt has been rising significantly. So, we are on a verge of world of debt, growing burden to global prosperity. And in 2023 alone, the total world's public debt has increased to $97 trillion, which is nearly $6 trillion higher than before. What is more concerning is the debt has been increasing more in the developing nations as compared to developed nations, and the rising share has been externally borrowed from outside the country. So the foreign exchange is again being affected for the countries. Now, countries countries like Kenya, Sri Lanka are also already facing those economic repercussions. There are other unstable nations which are again facing the issue, and in 2023 we have seen the Mozambique's external debt has reached nearly 350% of its gross national income, highest among the less developing nations, and then Mongolia at 189%, Mauritius as 129%, which have been significantly higher. Now this graph clearly shows the rising trend of public debt, specifically in the areas of Asia and Oceania, where we have seen a significant higher debt from 2010, which was only 5%, to 22%, which is nearly 5 times more, or more than 5 times. Now excluding China, if we look onto the developing nations, the debt has gone here. If we include China, the debt has soared to a very high levels further. The regional trends, if we talk about, have been very important. External debt tracking has doubled. Excluding China, it was 1.7 times. Including China, it is nearly 3 times that we have seen. And then the debt graphs have been shown against the gross national income and the unsustainable burden which has been created by low income nations as well as middle income nations. Now some of the major reasons for rising sovereign or public debt, as we already said, is firstly those nations which are oil importing are being affected because of the currency fluctuations as well, rising interest rate, the recession that had created a debt in the regions of Brazil in 1980s, Latin America, Africa are some of the areas where 8% of the revenue goes for interest payment itself, and high interest rates of 2 to 12 times are seen, which are higher than the rich nations, which is again one of the reasons why the public debt globally has been increasing. Now we can see a clear divide between the amount of debt that has been seen between the developing nations, developed nations, and the proportion of the funds that are being seen. Now if we look, the borrowing cost for developing countries is extremely high in Africa, nearly 9.8, as you can see the bond yields. However in Asia it is 5. However, in Germany, it is only 0.8%. So the government in the low and middle companies is spending nearly 134% times more on interest payment as compared to the previous, and this makes up nearly 37% of the total debt that they are accruing to. Now the pandemic has further worsened the scenario, and as we can see, the number of private creditors have increased along with the government creditors as well post 2020. So post 2020 there has been a significant rise in the number of external debt. Also there has been debt because of the fall in the healthcare systems that has been witnessed in many areas. For example, Chad in Africa owes nearly 1/3 of its debt to Swiss oil company Glencore. In 2020 there was some relief which was brought under the G20 framework, and in 2022 there was a deal which was reached to extend the payment deadlines till the repayments could be done. Zambia relies on copper exports, was defaulted in 2020 because of the COVID impact, and has the creditors have been worst affected in the regions. The similar case study works for many nations as well. So here is the demarcation of the major multilateral creditors, the World Bank, IMF, Islamic Development, Asian Development Bank, and so on. So these graphics would be available in the handouts. You can understand those, analyze those, and definitely include those in your answer writing, because global financial crisis is one of the very important topics and a highly expected topic for your upcoming mains answer writing mains examination for GS, right? The next is, the United has talked about the rising debt payments are severely hindering the development opportunities, specifically in low and middle income nations, where people are spending more on interest and loan payouts. Also, higher spending has been done on healthcare, and the debt payments have been exceeding the educational spendings, and as a result the educational standards have been deteriorating. Indonesia, Angola, and Mongolia are having a huge gap. The debt services are exceeding the education and the health budgets by many percentage higher. Similarly, we can say many developing nations are being trapped in these three, that is 38% for education, 58% for health, and 73% for interest under debt conditions. So fixing this debt and funding the climate future is important. This had been highlighted in the report, the Jubilee report, and this focuses on the global debt crisis specifically affecting the developing nations, which is not just because of mismanagement but a systemic failure that has involved creditors' irresponsibility, outdated financial system, and a poor progress, leading to very high rising sovereign debts for nearly all the nations. The next is Indian science national character. So India is trying to bring a breakthrough technology with growing number of patents that has been an indicator to India's scientific progress. We are now in one of the trends to adopt 4G, then implement 5G, and leading towards 6G. So one of the newspapers has talked about that India would set the global standards for 6G technology, and it is believed that 5G, which was rolled in 2022, 3 years after South Korea, and then has been with nearly 70 nations across 2000 cities. The 5G rollout was seen with issues of policy failures, weak infrastructures. We are now coming to 6G. India is far behind the nations like China, which has already established 6G as one of the major standards under International Telecommunication Union. And once these standards have been benchmarked, we are on the way to actually bring those into implementation. So setting up a 6G target is one of the very important aspects. So India shares the 6G patents through Bharat 6G Alliance, contributing to 10% of the global 6G patents that have been filed. Also, there has been studies which have been seen about reviving the sacred groves in the regions of Alwar in Rajasthan, and the efforts have been done to benefit the local animals and community which is involved with grazing activity. So there has been a NGO which is known as Krapavis, which has been working through the sacred groves, building check dams, planting native species, and inspiring people in the local area. The nature has been working with harmony in the regions of Jharkhand, where we have seen bird nesting behavior, flower patterns, insect movement, and crop cycles being very, very important. Indigenous communities are working together with this. However, there has been a note of caution. We have observed that how many Indians are poor remains challenging and a urgent task to be identified. There has been no official poverty estimates after 2011 and 12, although we have awaited the consumption expenditure survey which was released in 2023. However, it was it had to be well established. So it had explained that the consumption expenditure was a proxy of an estimate income levels of a people. So people would consume based on their income, and that was what was believed in this. However, in June there was a report that was released which talked about the latest consumption data from India, and it has updated the definition of extreme poverty, raising the poverty line from $2.15 per person per day to $3 per person per day based on 2021 parity index. And then we have seen that estimated nearly 54 million Indians are still living at less than $3 a day. So India is home to one of the largest population of poor in the world under the global poverty statistics, and the extreme figures have indicated that it would reach somewhere at 125 millions. That means India would require a significant improvement in its standards to meet the poverty benchmarks. The next is the Manrega aspect. So for the first time, central government has placed a spending limit on the Manrega scheme, restricting the expenditure to 60% of the total allocated in the first half of the year. Now, the world's 65 biggest banks have invested nearly billions of dollars in fossil fuel related company, and increase of more than 1 62 billion has been seen from previous years. Now, some of the top 5 spenders include JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, Mizuho Financials, and Wells Fargo. Also, we have focused on some of the important other issues that have been going around. This focuses on e-waste management rules 2022, Union Ministry of Science and Technology announcing the policy for improving the ease of conducting the researches, Kerala State Electricity Regulation Commission drafting the Renewable Energy Regulation Act 2025, and then updating the Green India Mission for 2021 to 2030 are some of the efforts that have been done. Now, besides this, under the Indian Institute of Astrophysics in Bangalore, we have discovered a rare extreme helium star named as A980, which is situated in the Ophiuchus constellation nearly 25,800 light years from Earth, and this is one of the first time germanium, a metallic element, has been detected in this rare extreme helium star which has been identified. So again, a major discovery. Also, Hurricane Eric, a category 3 storm, is was hitting the region of Mexico, affecting nearly 1 lakh people without power and leading to fatalities and infrastructure damage in the regions of Mexico. So that was for today. We will be covering the next fortnightly edition for Down to Earth in the next videos. Stay subscribed. Thank you.